everybody. How are you doing? So I'm going to talk a little bit about how mining is a detriment to the holistic health of communities. Mining, both of the titanium variety and other forms of it, has grave impacts on the holistic health of these communities. In the extraction process and in the cleaning process, it causes degradation to the environment, which turns into harm for the surrounding communities. This is manifested in the pollution of water sources, typically higher cancer rates, and the prevalence of delinquent behavior that's found in these regions. So this environmental degradation also causes a decline in the physical and social health of these communities. And this is best witnessed, I think, in the mangroves in the region. So if you look at the map, the very dark green area along the coast is mainly what I'm talking about. That's the mangrove region. Mangroves, as you might know, flourish in brackish water of intertidal zones. They host a whole plethora of wildlife, fish and shrimp, all sorts of good things. They are natural barriers for tsunamis and hurricanes. They also produce a significant amount of carbon. So they're ripe for supporting all sorts of wildlife and really protecting the environment in a lot of ways. And so one of the places that we went to was the Reserva de la Biosfera de la Encrucijada, which means crossroads, and that's fitting given that it's salt and fresh water combining. And that was founded in 1995 in June, and it incorporates about 145,000 hectares of land, and 29,000 of that is along the coast. And it's home to 17,000 people. And then including that, there are about 70 species of mammals that live there too, and these are the tallest mangroves in both North and Central America. As Lynn mentioned, this region has been prone to mining operations. So currently in the region there are 3 mines that are active right now, Cristina, Casas Viejas, and Bamboo. And then there are also 3 other mining projects in the region that have been suspended. And these sit at the top of the water sources, which in the cleaning process, funnel water that's filled with cyanide or arsenic into the river. You might be thinking that the name of a reserve often implies that area should be reserved. And the Secretary of the Environment was also serving on a mining company at one point. And so this has led to 10 years of exploitation. That's how community members have chosen to talk about it, in which 99 concessions have been granted, and then 21 of those concessions have been attributed to mining, which is about 14% of the land mass, the total area of the population in Chiapas. And after the community kind of has struck back, claiming these health concerns and these environmental concerns, the Secretary of Education or Environment has just said, well, mining is sustainable. But they take that with a grain of salt, obviously, given that he worked for a mining company. They've cited that thousands of these mangroves have died since 2014. That's an estimation, but in 2014, a lot of the fishermen who worked in the area woke up to find, many of the fish had died and surfaced overnight. A lot of them were pulling mutant fish out of the rivers, fish that couldn't be sold in market. So overnight, basically, a livelihood just completely deteriorated. And this isn't an anomaly for Mexico. It's also estimated that about 65% of the mangroves have shown signs of this deterioration since 1994. And often, the government plays the part that these statistics are shrouded in mystery so that there's not really pushback from an environmental activist group or groups of the like. One of the things that we really had a chance to witness was the physical health problems in Aconcagua. We got to meet with a few groups that were organizing there, including physicians in the area. And so they cited that the cancer rate in Aconcagua was about 5 times greater in this municipality than in the rest of the country. And liver cancer was the greatest offender. So from 2005 to 2015, these cancer rates increased by about 15%. In 2005, there were 66 deaths in the municipality, and then 5 were cancer-related and 2 were liver cancer-related, and that those 5 cancer-related deaths were 7.5% of all the deaths that year. By 2015, 22% of the deaths were cancer-related, 18 deaths in total, and 5 of those were, 80 deaths in total, 18 of them were cancer-related, and 5 of them were liver cancer-related. And I think most striking about these statistics is that these cases of cancer are occurring in people who are much younger than what we usually associate with cancer. There are cases of people under the age of 20 with both liver cancer and other types of cancer, but then also the majority of the cases are happening in people under 60 years of age. In addition, they didn't have any statistics from the civil registry yet for 2016 when we were there, but groups like Otros Mundos have calculated that there were 15 cancer cases in 2016, and 5 of them were liver cancer. In addition, they have more than average rates of skin cancer, cancer of the tongue, the mouth, the larynx, the lung, pancreas, intestines, colon, anus. They've had a lot of cases of abscesses, miscarriages, and abnormally large tumors for the area in relation to like other statistics from other parts of the country. So these are certainly grave effects that coincide in the timing of when mining operations have come into the region. And the doctor responsible for the kind of compiling these statistics and talking to us, mentioned that most of this is attributed to exposure to harmful substances like vinyl chloride, arsenic, and in particular thorium dioxide, which is thorium is the mineral that they've extracted from this region, and that mineral in particular emits gamma rays and alpha rays that cause cancer. And there's been a lot of academic work on the link between liver cancer and the exposure to things like arsenic in drinking water. This also affects the social health of the community. The mining industry, as Lynn mentioned, has really boomed over the past 10 years. It doubled what it was in the new millennium. And that's not just titanium mining, that's also silver and gold mining. But it affects the social health of communities. There's a lot of evidence that, as when mining operations like this come in, it brings in a lot of delinquency. Mining proponents claim that mines will bring jobs and a better quality of life, but often because of government corruption, people who have money might be able to bribe someone in order to get one of those jobs or not. And then, as I mentioned earlier with the livelihoods of fishermen, people are kind of shoved into the informal economy in these areas, and they've been cited as some of the most conflictive sites of recent capitalist expansion in Mexico. Members of the community with whom we've spoken have cited that once a mine comes in, often narco-trafficking comes in, or other illicit behavior. The informal industries begin to grow, and research corroborates this link between neoliberal policy implementation and the extraction or the opening up of natural resources to investment with a surge in delinquency. There have been reports of extortion and kidnapping, and with all these things, of course, like the government steps in and advocates for these stronger policing mechanisms. And so this securitization and militarization of the region also contributes to greater human rights abuses in the region and a more repressive state. And this creates, structural violence in that it certainly fosters a breakdown of community structures. If you once had a native system that was based on communal decision making, and that suddenly is broken down, and there's not as much trust there, that also contributes to an increase in delinquency and violence. One of the men from Otros Mundos, Gustavo Castro Soto, this is a direct quote from him. What we are seeing is that companies have started to use a pattern with communities, dividing them. They divide by employ all sorts of pressure and extortion. This happens with all the extractive projects in the country, which has created a range of conflicts. Just to close very quickly, I think moving forward in this globalized economy will be difficult, given that titanium is found in a lot of our technology, especially because environmental activism has been thwarted at every turn, most recently with the case of Berta Cáceres in Honduras being killed. So the stakes are very high for people on the front lines in these communities, but also, we have a role to play as consumers. I think that there's a way to look at our consumption and meet our technological needs while also, not sacrificing the holistic health of communities that are really in the front lines of these projects.